told him how I was in Orlando and Paul said, you've got to meet this guy. And we went over and you opened a laptop and you were showing the revenue you were not only making, but how you were helping others with arbitrage. It was on Amazon, right? At the time.
Yeah, Amazon, eBay, and Etsy.
Etsy. And I was so impressed. What I see you as kind of a serial entrepreneur going into different projects. You travel from Florida to New York, and sometimes you're looking for the latest sofa. And you've just really created a wonderful life for yourself. So would you just kind of give a little background of you, and then love for you to move into your knowledge and learning about YouTube?
Sure. Well, I've been selling online since 2008. Started with eBay, eventually migrated over to Amazon as well. It's what I do full time. I'm a retired home remodeler and contractor, but I still do that part time because I enjoy it. And it's going to be a part of my new YouTube channel. It all kind of works together. But anyway, the reason that I'm able to travel around, like you mentioned, is that with e-commerce, you can, especially with Amazon's FBA program, where they store and ship your merchandise, you can literally live anywhere you want and conduct your business from anywhere that you want.
Yeah, and were you doing a boat project at some point too?
Yeah, it's one of my hobbies, boat building. Nothing big, just small, like bay boats, like a 12-foot or a 10-foot skiff to go clamming and crabbing. Even though I did not have a YouTube channel while I was building my most recent boat, I took extensive video, I took extensive pictures, I took notes. And when I launched the boat in the Barnegat Bay in New Jersey, I actually hired a videographer because I realized that I wouldn't be able to do the actual video. So I have footage of that as well. And that's all got to be put together at some point.
Just start telling your journey of getting into YouTube. Why, when I asked Raymond, he goes, Martin, I'm not making the money yet. I said, no, but I know you, and you're getting your first video, and it really matches where a lot of people are here. Tell them your journey getting into it, what you learned, and then let's make sure we share your channel and talk about it.
I did a video at a meetup we had about 2 years ago. And after watching myself on camera for about an hour and a half, I realized every other word was And I know I'm not the only one to struggle with this, but I think that's probably the biggest struggle I've had with actually starting a YouTube channel, because once I saw myself, I wasn't comfortable. So I've been really working on that. And as you and I have talked about in previous conversations, I believe in being totally prepared. The gurus and the coaches and the people that I'm following to learn about YouTube all say that your first videos are going to be terrible. In order to minimize that, I've spent the last 4 months just studying YouTube, studying the pitfalls, studying the successes, studying what everybody else is saying about it, so that my first video would be not as bad as a new YouTuber. And I think I accomplished that. I see, I go with the still, but believe me, I have minimalized it.
Well, okay, we got to sneak in. What worked on it? Charles and I have coached many people on this. I want to hear your version, and I'm going to slip in ours as well since you brought it up.
What I do is I try and think first, speak second. And it's actually harder than it sounds, because I'm a shoot from the hip kind of guy. I'm very comfortable in conversation, but moving from real conversations with real people to online video, I found it's totally different. And again, I had to train myself to think first, speak second, whereas in real life, I just speak.
Yes. And also, I do want to add, from my work and involvement in Toastmasters and others, it's harder when there isn't a human being you're talking to. What we find is when people get in front of a camera and there isn't a person they're talking to, those are called verbal pauses, folks. That's the terminology. Go up even more, and then when they're talking to people. So you got it. I'm someone who used to, I would talk to think. This is what I used to do. And you got it. So that's a good one. Now let's go into a few tips on the journey, and then we'll show what you've done so far.
I kind of put together a list that I'm going to read off of or refer to, because we only spoke yesterday about actually even having me on.
Yeah.
So I'm as prepared as I can be.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to say is that you spoke about monetization earlier.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've heard over and over, no matter which coach I'm listening to, no matter which guru I'm listening to, is they say that you really should not monetize your channel right away. They said, YouTube, just like Facebook, doesn't like when you have links taking people off of the platform. So they say until you're relatively established, you've got, say, 50 videos up or even more, depending on how fast you get good at it, that you really shouldn't be trying to divert people away from YouTube in order so that you can get monetized. And even with 50 videos, you may not even be monetized by YouTube itself with their partner program. So what YouTube prefers is if you're doing a couple of videos or a series of videos that relate to each other, it's much better to put links sending your viewers to another one of your videos. YouTube and the YouTube algorithm, from what I've read and from what I've heard, loves when you send traffic back to their platform. Yeah, so one of the other things is if we want to go back to the very beginning of starting a YouTube channel, I don't know who here is brand new. I mean, I'm brand new. I have one video up as of now. I'm that new, even though I've been studying for 4 months. One of the first things that I concentrated on was picking a name for my channel. And some say this isn't critical because you can change your name later. But I believe, put in the time, think about what you want to be, think about who you want to be, think about who you're targeting, and try and come up with a name so you don't have to do it later and go backwards. Once you've picked a name, once you've picked a direction, it's probably a good idea to see if you can secure the domain name for that name for your channel or something very close to it. And along the same lines, you're also going to want to grab all of the social media handles as well. Mm-hmm. And I guess what a lot of people do is they'll start something kind of off the cuff. They'll see how it works out. And they really don't plan it from the end to the beginning. They plan it from the beginning to the end. And I think it should be done the other way around. If you're building a channel for your business, it's one thing. You're building it around you or your business. But if you're building a channel strictly for the monetization aspect of it long term, then you have to look at it as you're building an asset. And you have to look at it as, okay, if I'm going to try and sell this channel at some point, then I'm going to need certain things in place that buyers are going to want. So I might as well start from the beginning, getting those things in place.
Outstanding. I want to share your channel while you're talking over it, because these are great tips and I want you to continue. This is his
just remembering, I'm a newbie.
He's a newbie, but that's why I wanted to bring him in. Several things I love about this is, first of all, you've got a simple message at the top that should scale pretty well. Even on my screen, it looks like, I'm just trying to see if I can vary it a little bit. It looks like you work to get the image, the core, what they are, centered on the screen. And that's what we like with the boards extending out the other area.
When you're adding your branding, when you're setting up your channel, there's a tab for branding. I'm sure you went over that.
Right, we did, yeah.
when you put up the banner image, the main image, they show you how it will look on the various screens that people are looking at it on. So the part that you want people to see, the most important part, must show up in all of those various view, the way it's viewed. And they do give you, the size. And if you don't know the size, you can always Google it, YouTube banner size, YouTube profile image size. And when you build your images, I do mine in a software called Canva, which has a free version, but some people will work in Photoshop, some people will work in PowerPoint. Wherever you're working, you can set your image parameters to what YouTube wants and just build your image within those parameters. If you also look at my page there, you'll see that the colors are the same. The theme is the same. If you want to look professional, you have to study and think about the branding aspect of it.
Yep, absolutely. Let me, I'm going to bring it up as well again.
Let me say something that should have prefaced this, is that I had three choices. I picked the three niches that I felt comfortable about starting a channel about. One of them was construction, because I was in that my entire life, my entire adult life. The other was selling online, e-commerce, which I obviously coach to many people. And I also do it full time. And I travel extensively all the time. So I had three options. And again, going back to the people that I listened to and the coaches and the gurus, they all said, don't try and do more than one channel. Some people try to do it all. And if you're doing, say, 2 channels, you're only going to be able to give each one half of your attention. So I had to make a choice. And one of the other advices that I heard by listening to these people was, pick something you're not going to feel like it's a labor, feel something that you're going to enjoy, something that you're passionate about. And out of the three, I was most passionate about the construction and the remodeling, and I picked it because I knew I wouldn't get bored with it. I knew I wouldn't give up on it. Whereas the e-commerce, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy coaching it, but I'm not super passionate about it. The traveling I love to do, but in the last 3 years, because of the pandemic and the lockdowns and everything, I didn't do hardly any traveling. So I really didn't have anything to show since 2019. So that's why I settled on this particular niche, and the actual name, Daily Build It. If anybody on here has searched for domains lately, you know that they're all taken up. All the good ones are taken. It's hard to find something short and clear and that you want. So I tried to find something as close to what I wanted to convey to the people that were going to view my channel.
The other piece I like is it does give you a certain level of flexibility. You could put the boat building as a channel here on a playlist or many other things, but we're in the domain of sustainability. And that's the important piece we talk about. If you're picking a niche, make sure it's something you could do for several years to build it up.
That's correct, because if I had picked, say, woodworking, right. If I wanted to show people how to modify a smoker, for example, it wouldn't really fit the channel. But with Daily Build It, and in my intro, in the videos, in my intro, it actually says that we do all kinds of things on this channel. It's not just about woodworking or metalworking or boat building.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the screen and other things, because I think you've done a great job in picking a title. And that's why I wanted to bring you on, because these are things we talked about across the class. So the first thing they see gives an idea of what it is right away. And you built that on Canva too, right?
That's correct. The thumbnail I built on Canva.
So we got before, after, $5 stainless steel. So we have stainless steel mirror, and restoration. Those are keywords someone might search for. That's why I like those. And then here, how to clean and restore old, dirty, paint-covered, oxidized mirrors. There are a lot of keywords in that. Is that by design? I just want to say you've done a pretty good job in getting a lot of words someone might search for on YouTube to start with.
Yeah, and let me tell you what I did. You know, because I'm in business, I realize and I believe that sometimes you need to spend money to make money. So what I did was I listened to all the videos. I listened to the coaches. I knew what I had to do to build a good title and to build a good description and to build a good thumbnail. But I took it a step further. I went on to Fiverr, and you can use Upwork, Fiverr. There's a number of places out there where you can hire workers and remote VAs and whatnot. And what I did was I hired somebody to do my title and description. I hired somebody to do my thumbnail. I hired somebody to edit my edited video. Okay. But what I did was the reason I hired these people was to get a framework. I wanted to see what they were going to do with my material. And just like if you were to go to a lawyer and hire a lawyer, that lawyer may have 50 other cases. That lawyer is never going to give your case the same type of attention that you could give it, and he's not going to know it as intimately as you know it. So what I wanted from these people, more than the information that they were going to put into these things, was the framework. And once I got this material back from them, I saw the stuff that they were missing. I saw the stuff that they put in that I might have missed. So what you see in the thumbnail, the title, the description, and the editing was really a conglomeration of my own work and the people I hired. I felt that I would be able to give a much better product if I'd used a professional, but also put my personal spin on it.
Yeah, and I want to add this. Many people, Raymond, do better if they're critiquing something that exists than trying to create it from scratch. That's why I think it was such a great idea. You go, I'm going to pay someone. I'm not going to invest a lot. If people don't know it, Fiverr, it's a hit or miss sometimes, but you know, you spent 40, 50 bucks or something and you at least get something. If you don't, you state you aren't satisfied and they hold the money for you to use it again. So what a great way to go. Okay, I see what they did, and now it gives me an idea of how to make it better. How did you start the research process? Where'd you begin? Because you're kind of a serial entrepreneur or maybe parallel entrepreneur. How did you start the process and decide where to start researching?
Well, let me first say that everybody is different. Everybody learns differently, and everybody researches differently. I know that from coaching many students in e-commerce. So what I can say is I started listening to the so-called gurus and the really successful YouTubers that were trying to teach YouTube on YouTube. I know that sounds crazy. So after listening to probably 10 or 12 channels, you start to resonate with certain YouTubers. You might listen to somebody and they totally turn you off. You might listen to somebody else and you actually can get in sync with them and you can actually resonate with what they're saying and how they're presenting it. Because again, everybody learns differently. So my first step was to listen to the people on YouTube that were teaching how to be a YouTuber.
I want them to see his first video briefly.
In this video, we're going to restore 2 very dirty, oxidized, and paint-covered mirrors in a commercial bathroom.
Okay, folks, remember what I said. Get to the point quickly. He knocked that out in less than 7 seconds.
Let me say something.
So critical. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things I learned right at this point in the video, like you just mentioned, your title and your thumbnail are basically a hook and a promise. Okay.
Yep.
What I was told was the first 7, 8, 10 seconds of the video must deliver on that promise or reinforce that promise. And the rest of the video obviously has to do what you're promising.
Got it. Excellent. We're going to play a little more.
We were going to replace them until we saw the price. $105 each, plus shipping, plus tax. Forget that. We're just going to clean them up and make them like brand new. It'll end up costing us about $5 and a couple hours of our time. Watch as we go from this to this. Welcome to Daily Build It, where we build, repair, review, and just generally tinker with stuff. If you'd like to be notified when we do really cool projects, then hit that subscribe button and set the notification bell. Let's get started on our project.
So, that's about the maximum introduction most people stand. I think you did a good job for your first video. Also, talk about the editor and the overlay, because we always like to hear people different ones they prefer, because you put many people are listening without watching. Now, I could put the closed caption on, but he chose to integrate it right into his video. So would you talk a little bit about that, Raymond?
Yeah, that's interesting. When you upload a video to YouTube, you have a box that you can tick that says allow closed captioning.
Yeah.
And YouTube will actually add it to some videos, but they won't add it to all videos.
Uh-huh.
So unless you have a software that will do that for you, it may not be available for every video. And what I was taught was there are plenty of people that are listening while their significant other or kids are sleeping. There are other people that are sneaking and watching at work. They don't want to get caught, or they don't want to disturb their coworkers. There's a myriad of reasons why people would rather just read instead of listening. And obviously we have people that are deaf or have some sort of a hearing impairment. So I was taught that adding the subtitles and the closed captioning might as well just do it.
And which system did you use for that, the video editor?
Okay. Now I'm currently using the newest version of Wondershare Filmora. It's the 11th version. And what I want to say about that too, as a coach, I had to teach people how to use tools to sell e-commerce. It's the same thing with YouTube, okay? You're going to need a video editor. And what I did was I went and found about a dozen of them. I signed up for the free versions. I tested each one. And based on working with them hands-on, I found whichever one was most comfortable for me. All of the video editors are different. Some are more advanced, some are less advanced, but you need to find the one that you're comfortable with. And I also want to add that at some point, you or I may want to hire out the editing to other people. But I believe if you're going to hire out a job like that, it's good that you know something about it. It's good that you've played with it. It's good that you've tested it so that you can at least speak intelligently with the people that you're hiring.
Now, the overlay of the words, did you do that in the Filmora?
Yes.
Okay.
The Filmora, I would say,
really
is probably not the most advanced software, right, but it's in the top. From 1 to 10, it's up a 7 or an 8. I mean, right, I've heard that the Premiere, the Final Cut Pro, some of them are a little more advanced, but the Filmora is right up there with them and has lots of functionality.
Excellent. So,
and I want to add, I'm not a tech guy.
Right.
I'm not good. I've never been on Photoshop. So for me to learn video editing software was a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's why I tested, like I said, about a dozen of them, so I could see which one I was actually able to learn.
Yeah, that's another reason I wanted to bring you on, because this could, you have really worked hard to learn the computer aspects of this stuff. It wasn't second nature for you.
Correct.
I'm going to go towards the end so you can see.
And let me say something to
yeah,
that too.
yeah,
In order to learn the software, I went right to YouTube. Filmora has their own channel. There's plenty of other creators that are telling you how to do stuff on Filmora. And I also went to Udemy, who sells courses. And for $30, I was able to get the 2 top courses, $15 a piece. So I completely educated myself on how to do this.
great. I think the process you're going through is also very valuable on this. And folks, you have to admit, for his first video out there, it's pretty impressive. I think you did a fantastic job.
That was good. Thank you.
Excellent job. Then this is where you could have put, when you get him, the invitation once you have other videos. Remember, he can go back and add them, so it doesn't. He's taking a little time at the end, and notice how we got the ending. And let me see our time period, what we have here. You got a little time. You could do an overlay of what's the next video. You know what I mean? Raymond,
Yes,
you have some room here to add it. That's the big thing.
Yep.
Now he's got text, which is also important. He doesn't have a URL to go with, but he's got content. And would you put this up yesterday?
Yes.
10 views. Not bad. Not bad at all. And so this would be, this is where it is, building it. Then, of course, Raymond, you could also use hashtags in here if you want to, and a hyperlink. Make sure you put the full HTTPS and so forth in it.
Yeah, I filled out all the tags in the tag section.
Yep, and the tag section, which we've covered earlier in the class as well. So I'm going to go back to your channel a moment, but I wanted to really showcase this for people to see, more like the thought process, because that you go through and you're testing them out and finding it. And then he can come back here and fill in more details, but he doesn't have another website. So he's going to let's get some people, let's get them subscribing, let's get some good content out here and keep building. Now, would you talk a minute about your plan? Because I think you have a great plan of, locking yourself in a closet next and really work on it. Not a closet, of course.
Well, the YouTube algorithm favors, again, what I've been taught. This is not me speaking from experience. It favors consistency and quality. If you can put up 1 video a month, that's good. If you can put up 1 video a week, that's better. Mm-hmm. But putting up 10 videos in a week and doing nothing for 2 weeks doesn't entice the algorithm to show you, to promote you. It likes to see consistency. And the analogy that I was taught was, say there's a television program that you like, All in the Family or 8 is Enough or some of the other 70s and 80s sitcoms, okay? If they just put them on random times on TV, nobody would be able to watch them. They'd have to wait for reruns, which obviously you can do on YouTube. But people by nature like to have some sort of a structure. They like to have some sort of a schedule. And again, that's why I was taught that the algorithm favors people that are consistent. And we're not talking it has to be down to the minute, but YouTube does give us the ability to schedule the drop of our videos. So you might as well just schedule at the same time every time. And once you get more experience on YouTube and you get more videos up, there's various types of software and apps that you can use to help you, like vidIQ. And these softwares will actually make suggestions when your viewers are on and when is the best time to drop your videos. But until you've loaded a bunch of videos, you're not going to know, and the software is not going to know what time that is. So what I did was I did basically what I did with my e-commerce. I tried to think about where people were on the West Coast in the United States, where people were in the East Coast of the United States. And I kind of try to pick a middle ground of when it should drop. And that's what I did. So I picked 4:30 in the afternoon on the East Coast, which ends up being 1:30 in the afternoon in California. So, you know, it's good enough to start, I believe.
Excellent.